Let me take this off. Well, good morning, guys. Good morning. I hope you're doing well. It is Thursday. So we are heading to the end of the week. I hope you're doing well. I hope your week ran well as well. So just before heading into today's job and today's price action, just referring to what we made yesterday. So yesterday I was able to catch a short here after a rejection of the NWOG. Well, there was a lot of confluences here, with the macro and with displacement, with an SMT. So it was a nice run to the downside. And as you can see here, I kind of closed right at the bottom of the move, which was Friday's low. It was a tricky session because in between 950 and 1050, so about 1 hour, price just consolidated and just was punishing everybody who was trying to enter a short or even a long position here, to target these relative equal highs here. But yeah, we managed to short the market. It was a good short, and it was a 1 hour position, which is not bad, but it could be a faster movement. But yes, it was very good indeed. Then price came to equilibrium of this fall here, and yeah, did nothing. It just consolidated. So then we entered Asia. As you can see, consolidation, a minor purge of Asia highs, and then we displaced and expanded lower during London and eventually on a pre-market as well. So we already hit previous day low. We left a 15-minute fair value gap here, which I would like to see getting target. But at this time of the day, and with this type of order flow, I might consider lower prices. As you can see here, ES is not that far from the daily fair value gap here, down on the downside. This marks the quarters of the daily wick, as you can see here on the daily. So I'm referring to this wick here, which is not being worked out. So right now we are working out that wick. Price kind of stopped here at the 25% mark. And honestly, what I'm eventually expecting during, I don't know if it will happen during New York AM, since we already expanded during London, but honestly, I'm expecting a drive even lower, just to touch this daily fair value gap and eventually work out this daily wick. It's a bit stretched, but previous week's low is here as well. I don't think we will hit it today, but it's just there in case of we are in a very bearish scenario. So right now, price already opened. Let me just mark the open. Well, I kind of nailed the open without knowing that it would be here. Kind of curious. So we left 8:30 open behind. We are now leaving 9:30 open behind as well. We have midnight open here on the upside. It's far away from what it used to, because we expanded already. So we are in a deep discount right now. So I will wait for the first presented fair value gap. We'll also wait for the 10 a.m. news it's not a red folder news, I believe. It's an orange folder news, but yeah, with all this already happening, I think I will wait for 10 before planning anything. So right now I'm just observing. We already took pre-market lows. I have the 75% mark here, but you can consider it at 25. So we bounced already from the 25% daily wick. So right now we are supporting, and we are just waiting just to see how far we can go. Statistically, and if you look into probabilities, whenever you have a London or pre-market expansion like this, it is normal to to the market to consolidate or eventually accumulate during New York AM. So my expectations for today's price action, it's kind of low. My expectations are very low right now. So I'm just waiting to see if something very clean and very clear just happens. My main bias is still bearish, but at this point I would like to see something premium to happen and not sell here on a super discount, which can be tricky. So I'm just observing the opening range gap. It's completely open, so price has not made anything inside the opening range gap. It's going straight down. Usually, whenever, well, ICT said in one of those videos that whenever you have a big opening range gap, it might get left open. So this can eventually be the case since we are kind of bearish and price is trying to reach for new lows here. I believe the daily fair value gap on ES might actually be the main draw here. And as soon as we hit this daily fair value gap, price will eventually consolidate. So we are trying to leave the 25% mark of the daily wick behind. NQ, looking at NQ, it's kind of heavy as well. So it's downsided. There's not much to see on NQ as well. I believe it is passing the daily fair value gap right now. Just like taking my sip of coffee. This is the first presented fair value gap here. And price is just displacing to the downside. So I would not be surprised if price really comes here to the daily fair value gap in a one-sided move, leaving a lot of traders behind. And then as soon as we take a touch on the daily fair value gap, it starts to eventually accumulate, or it retraces higher because we still have some imbalances here to fill. So let's just see. At this point, I will take my hands out of the trigger, despite knowing that it is logical now that daily fair value gap on ES is right there. So far, one-sided, kind of a heavy start. Just like yesterday. Yesterday, the start of the session was also kind of heavy. I believe a lot of players just were left behind in the first minutes of the session. Boas, Lourenço. Pois é, pá. Ontem de facto foi até lá. Exatamente. E é possível que ainda vá mais um bocadinho abaixo. Aliás, eu estou expectante que eventualmente vá um bocadinho mais abaixo. Nós temos aqui no ES, por exemplo, Previous Week's Low para tirar ainda. Daily Fair Value Gap também. Portanto, neste momento estamos a trabalhar a Daily Wick, mas não, como se vê não há grande resistência. Aliás, não há grande suporte, portanto é possível. So 50% of the daily wick is already printed. Let me just close the window. There's some noise outside, which is bothering me. So one-sided so far. Daily fair value gap as the main draw here, and it's happening fast. So far since the open, only 2 green candles. So not much that we can do despite watching it. So yeah, so far a heavy open. Since 9:30 we already progressed about 25 handles, which is considerable for yes. NQ heading south as well. So main draw is hit here. As I mentioned in the first minutes of the stream, I was expecting the daily fair value gap to be hit. It was a one-sided move, so it was no opportunity for us to enter. And since I don't like to trade the first minutes of the opening just like this, yeah, there was no entry for me. Oops. So now, since we touched the daily fair value gap, I'm expecting some kind of a reaction here. Otherwise, previous week's low is in place as the next draw. So far, ES is progressing through that wick, just like a knife is cutting butter. There's no support at all, no resistance, so it's progressing in a one-sided way. Yeah, guys, I believe this session will eventually be a session where two things can happen, or you take a short on a deep discount like this, eventually targeting previous week's low, or you will just observe the session, because at this point, I don't think I don't think there will be something that we can work with. It's a one-sided market. Um, we had about we had about 10 red candles in a row. So I don't know. A lot of imbalances left behind. Uh, and at this point, to consider some kind of a reversal, yeah, we need to see eventually price getting above the first presented fair value gap. Otherwise, it can just stay in here and do some mean things. And I'm not interested in participating in something like this. To consider some kind of a reversal, price has to aggressively pick up some upwards momentum, and then eventually take out this trend line liquidity that we have here. But at this point, I don't know. The other option is to price. It will probably come here, display slower, and target eventually previous week's low. But if price just continues just like this, there will be no model for me. So it seems like we have the reaction that I was talking about. But since there's a lot of imbalances here, this might be just a reaction, just to fulfill these imbalances. So I would not consider it a reversal on price just yet. So let's see if price really comes here in a one-sided move to eventually 25%. That's where we have the first presented fair value gap. 1 minute to hit the macro. Well, on the 15 minutes, if you look on the 15 minute. If you take a look at the 15 minute, the last candle that hit the daily fair value gap, it's a it's a large candle, and usually when you have a large candle um, hitting some points of interest, some high time frame points of interest, it's always suspicious because these types of candles usually entice retail traders to get into late shorts. So we might eventually see some form of a engulfing green candle, or eventually a candle with which will just get around the first presented fair value gap, and then um, head to the downside once again. Yeah, but so far nothing from me. We still have 10 a.m. news as well, so I think it's better to wait for it instead of forcing anything outside of the time window. So I believe NQ already. Just let me check NQ once again. Where's the first presented on NQ? Yeah, NQ already. It's one or two ticks below the first presented fair value gap. So that's why we are reacting like this right now. Here we can have a bearish order block formation, as you can see if I zoom in a little bit more on the 1 minute. There we go. So this order block can eventually project price to the downside. Kind of a shame that ES did not reach the first presented fair value gap, but as I told you, um, I'm afraid that price will do something like this, and that's why I'm not interested in take any shorts here, despite being inside of a macro right now. So here on ES, we don't have any type of inverted fair value gap, while on NQ we have one already. So this here on NQ marks a balanced price range, a BPR. we'll mark this fair value gap here just to see if it holds. Well, if this one holds, price will eventually progress to the downside, and at least it will come to 75% of the daily wick, and then we will have the 100%, which has a confluence with previous day low, so previous week's low, I mean. So it might happen since we have no interaction with the inside of that fair value gap. But I'm staying on the sidelines just for now because of what I told you before. I'm afraid that price can eventually do something like this. Notice how we left these highs as well. Very clean here. These pre-market highs. So price is now trying to get above the midpoint of this fair value gap. And it's trying to get above the 50% of the weekly, of the daily wick. But it's kind of struggling right now. So I'm curious to see. If this one holds or not, because we are inside of a macro. But on the other hand, we have 10 a.m. news, which can eventually inject some fuel to the to price action, and it can make price action to deliver to its next draw, or it can eventually wick price action, and that would eventually take us out from any sort of trade. That's why I prefer to stay away from it until 10. As you can see, price is now waiting. It's only 3 minutes left before 10 a.m. news, and price is waiting below the bearish fair value gap. So logically, and in normal conditions, price will eventually follow through this daily fair value gap and eventually progress to previous week's low. But since we have 10 a.m. news, we have to wait and try not to engage with the markets before any news driver. I suspect that this news driver will just inject some fuel and will make price progress into previous week's low at this point, because this is a clean retest of this fair value gap. As you can see, price was never able to close inside of this tiny fair value gap. But on the other hand, we have this daily one here as well. And yeah, selling into a deep discount, and at the top of a daily bullish fair value gap it's kind of tricky, because you will never know if this daily fair value gap will eventually hold price and project price to the upside. See, 10 a.m. news. another test to that fair value gap. On NQ, it was a heavier retest. It kind of suppressed the tiny fair value gap. So everybody who was trying to short NQ here, maybe they got stopped out, or otherwise you had to have a large stop loss, something like this, something like this. And this doesn't offer the risk to reward that we really want, honestly. This would be acceptable. This would be a nice, 50% of the order block would be nice. But this, for me, it doesn't make sense. So as you can see, price is now a bit stubborn with that fair value gap. That's why I was not secured about selling short here. We are too deep in a discount. We are right above the daily fair value gap. So shorting here is a bit, I don't know, I think it's chasing price. And I don't want to chase price. I want to look for something to deliver, and something to progress in a logical way, and not just chasing price because it's been going lower for the past 8 hours or something like that, and I will just enter short. Nah. So yesterday I talked about how the macros can eventually form some sort of reversal type of plays. And as you can see here, it seems it's not a clear reversal, because there is no SMT in between ES and NQ at these lows. ES left this low here intact, which I don't like it. And now, since we are progressing higher, we are starting to develop that pattern that I was talking about. So just waiting. And imagine that price does something like this, and it reaches the first presented fair value gap, and as soon as it reaches first presented fair value gap, it presents as something like an SMT followed by displacement. Then I probably would eventually take a short somewhere around here, just to target these lows right here, and eventually leaving a runner to previous week's low. So if that happens, I might try something out. Otherwise, I don't know. I might probably stay away from this. and to play something just like external liquidity to internal, which would be something like this, a movement from here to here. It's always tricky, because I would only consider a full bullish movement as soon as we hit something like 6660, which is right here. Price would need to make something above 930 open just for me to consider a bullish scenario. Not the best timing. Well, so far, price is really trying to reach for the first presented fair value gap. So I'm curious to see if we can follow through that and eventually changing my bias to something bullish. But looking into NQ left a flat candle behind, so flat candles are always a target in the future. So I don't know. Let's see how price reacts here. But so far, it's kind of hard to engage with the market because, as you can see, one-sided move, one-sided move. So there's not a single green candle on this descent, and there's not a single red candle here in this uprising here. So I presume that only turtle soup players, those who play turtle soup, I don't play those that model. I don't. It's I don't like to play that model because I feel like I'm buying with and selling with my eyes closed. But yeah, there's a lot of people that love to play that model, the turtle soup model. Um, but it's not my case, and I believe that only turtle soup guys can eventually catch this move. So price reached for the first presented fair value gap here. Still pushing a bit higher. So this was the 9:50 to 10:10 a.m. Reversal model here. Seems clean, but yeah, it's not the way I like to play these things. So price is reaching for 9:30 open. Remember when I told you to be aware of these highs here. Look how fast price is progressing in that direction. So ES already purged those pre-market highs. Now let's see if this will develop some sort of SMT or followed by displacement, or if we will just head higher since we have this 15-minute we have this 15-minute fair value gap that's still untouched. So still waiting for something here. Seems like price just came for the daily fair value gap, the 50% of the daily wick, and it kind of reacted right away from it. And now we have some relative equal highs here, both on ES and yeah, both on ES and NQ. So at this point, it would be interesting to see, since we are hanging here, I need to see a retrace down to the first presented fair value gap and then something like this happening. Or price can eventually present an SMT here at these highs. And follow through the downside. But Right now, I don't believe this will be the case. Yeah, nice follow through here. So now we are above 9:30 open, right below 8:30. Price already did 50% of the daily wick, but honestly, there's no opportunity to engage with price, or there was no opportunity. It was a one-sided move to the downside and one-sided move to the upside. So nothing that we can or could eventually do. Just observing and just watching price to run here. On the hourly, we are approaching here 6673, which is right here. This area here marks a bearish fair value gap on ES as well as on NQ. So at this point, I'm curious to see if ES and NQ just go straight to this 15-minute right here. So price is now stuck in between 9:30 open and 8:30 open. Let me just switch to the 3 minutes and the 2 minutes, the 5. Yeah, on the 5 minutes, you can see that if price really closes above these candles here, we might have a breaker right here, which would project price even higher. But since we are one-sided and left a lot of imbalances behind, I'm not sure I want to take any longs here unless price visits some form of discount here on on this range. Which I'm doubting right now. Just give me a second, guys. And I'm back. Thank you, guys. So price is just following through the opens, reaching for the 15-minute fair value gap here. But yeah, my model does not develop, so just watching price running right now. Super standard. So at this point, this might actually be a macro to macro move. So we can eventually expect this move to end at 1050. So nice run here to the upside. But honestly, now no trigger. So these relative equal highs here, we can eventually expect price to make a pit stop here. I forgot to take this projection here. Let me just see how accurate this is. Yeah, quite accurate. So, and accordingly to the projection, we might stop this run at -4. This bearish fair value gap. Well, for those who are asking, um, what am I trading? I basically trade this is the S&P 500, but when you're trading it in the futures market, it's named ES. So here you can see, here it's called MES, which is micro ES. It's a bit lighter than the ES contract on the futures market. So you don't need that whole of a capital to trade like you would trade S&P 500. So price is leaving once again some relative equal highs here on ES. On NQ, we kind of purged it. So this might, for now, this is an SMT, but I don't believe this SMT will eventually hold. Take this out. So in order to believe that this SMT will hold, I needed to see some form of displacement to the downside, a harsh displacement, but it's not happening. Price is just climbing down a little bit, probably seeking for 930 open support, and then it will probably move in a continuation way just to take out these relative equal highs. And as you can see here, right at the top, it formed another relative equal high. And usually the market does not leave these relative equal highs behind. The market tend to go once again and take them. But right now, I would not take any chances to buy. E a Lourenço é isso que eu estou a ver. É isso mesmo. Não, não faria longos aqui, de todo. So right now we are in some type of a sensible area. Of course, that if you look into a larger picture, you can consider that price can eventually come lower, rebalancing some of these imbalances, and then take another drive higher because there's a lot of liquidity here that is still it still need to be purged. So, but I would be very careful longing this market because yeah, right now you are counter trending the market on a higher time frame. And there's a lot of confluences that makes price stop here. So this is the low. We are reaching the low on NQ already. Not on ES, but on NQ we already reached it. We reached a 1 hour bearish fair value gap as well on NQ. So that's why prices is slowing down here. Let me just check the 5 minute. Yeah, price could eventually make a comeback to the first presented fair value gap and then reach higher. But at this point, I'm kind of suspicious about it. Definitely not longing here because you will not long in a minus 2.5 standard deviation projection. It needs to go a little bit lower just to hold your position. Se calhar temos reverse para vir fechar todo o daily gap. Pois, é possível. Assim, eu não. Onde é que era? No NQ eu fico um bocado suspeito com aquela flat candle no de 15 minutos. Candle das 9h45. Um, não sei. Neste momento está um bocado tricky. Let me just take this out. See, price is stopping here. We are approaching the 1050 macro as well. NQ already reached previous day low. So it was kind of a shame that we did not take this low here on ES, either on NQ. Otherwise, I would have considered some sort of a breaker type of model, and that would allow me to enter this bullish leg. But yeah, it didn't deliver how I demand from the market. I don't want to enter in a long position with some lows untapped. It's always tricky. When you have an SMT, that might be acceptable, but not if both don't take the lows. Let me just check how far we are inside the daily the opening range gap. Yeah, we stopped right at 25% of it. Yeah, we left it open since 9:50. And then at 9:50 we started to run in order to try to mitigate some of this imbalance that's here. So previous day low is near the 50% of the opening range gap. I don't know. At this point, market just stopped as well, so I will wait until 1050 to see if this bullish movement will stop at 1050, and then eventually look for something after 11. But I believe it will be hard to anything to develop. Yeah, so far we have about almost 30 minutes of consolidation. So I think you really reached the hourly fair value gap, but not yes. Yes, kind of fell short. So let me take a year look at the dollar index. Yeah, the dollar index it's making some sort of a retrace so far. I don't know if it will invert this bearish trend, but yeah, on the weekly it almost reached for -2 standard deviation. Let me check the euro dollar. Yeah, I believe euro dollar is just accumulating for another run to the upside. There's still some there's a yeah, there's a weekly fair value gap and untapped, a bearish one, which I believe we will try to reach for. But yeah, looking into um, forex pairs like Euro USD, and even the dollar index, uh, it majorly depends on fundamentals right now because of all those conflicts that has been in place and all those tariffs and that Trump is trying to put in place. I believe. But looking into the dollar, I can see it going a little bit lower here. Not a little bit, probably probably a big movement down, but yeah, I don't know if it will reverse from here or not, but it all depends on I think it all depends on the policies and the politics and the war status and all that. So yeah, I came in the market with no expectations, and fortunately, I did not took any trades yet because yeah, it would be hard for me. I don't like to trade the first minutes of the open. This could eventually be a an opportunity here, but then this leg was one sided. Then here you would do nothing. Would would be waiting for the 10 a.m. news, and then inside a macro, this could eventually be the unique opportunity, the only opportunity that we could have entered anything, but the model just didn't present it itself. Honestly, this low should have been taken out for me. And then there was no red candle until the 9:30 open. And yeah, as soon as it hits -2 and -2.5 standard deviation, you have no business in here to long the market. It's a no-no. Longing the market somewhere here. So we are approaching 1050, and as you can see, this might be the movement of today's price action. So 950 macro to 1050 macro. It's a one-sided move almost, ending with a some sort of consolidation. Sorry. Some sort of consolidation. God damn. So 1050 approaching here. Let's just see where it will go from here. So this is some sort of accumulation, even if price is trying to get higher. I consider this a consolidation. It's some sort of a diagonal consolidation, as you can see here. See if I transform this into some sort of, okay, this is NQ, but if you look at ES in a form of a line, you can see that this is just accumulation. So I consider it an accumulation as well. So accumulation is usually followed by manipulation. So this macro can eventually be cooking some inversion, because this could be some sort of a accumulation. We could expect a manipulation higher, So a bump to the upside and then a distribution lower. Not that big of a distribution, but probably until equilibrium. Or it can be reversed as well, since we are still accumulating. Despite having this displacement, this big candle, it's still accumulating. So in the meantime, NQ took out the high, so we have some sort of SMT here as well. I'll take this out. So NQ already took this high, but ES didn't follow through, and now we have some sort of displacement. If this candle would be some points a little bit bigger, I would consider this a displacement lower and eventually target lower price action. Let's just see if this is really an inversion. We'll mark it as an inversion just to see if it will respect the inversion or not. So price is playing below 830 open. Yeah, I don't think this will work as an inversion, but we'll give it some more minutes. Vou esperar para ver o que acontece nos 15 minutos. Nos 15 minutos fair value buck que tivemos às 10. Ah, ok. Eventualmente estás à procura de algo assim. E depois, se reagir aqui, certo? Poderá ser um plano. Bem, por enquanto, parece-me aqui que yeah, still waiting for something to develop. Things are not clear. We are still inside an accumulation here. We left a flat candle right here at the top. On the other hand, we are inside the macro. So usually the macro tends to end a previous move and start another one, or it can eventually trigger a continuation of the move. But right now, what I'm honestly expecting is a manipulation higher and a drive followed by a drive lower. This is honestly what I'm expecting. So if price comes inside a macro to the upside, then it reaches here and then boom to the downside. It leaves a fair value gap here. It leaves another one here. It marks a balanced price range, and then this would be some sort of a leg that we could explore. But we are just speculating. Yeah, for those who are talking to me on the Violet platform, yeah, I stream. I try to stream daily, and I try to stick um, with S&P, which is ES on the futures contract. I trade only futures. I've been into crypto already, but I found that the futures market is way better than all those crypto things and forex and some of those commodities as well. Yeah, I'm from Portugal. For those who don't know, yeah, you have to do some math around, yeah, but you just need to put that on a spreadsheet, and if you risk if you risk I mean if you risk about $200 per trade or something like that, you just have to switch the number of contracts, um, and I have that already predefined. So it feels like the stream is lagging. I don't know what's happening honestly, but I'm sorry in advance. No, right now just trading, just trading. Um, I don't trade into stocks. I think that stocks is some sort of a um, it's good for, I mean, for swing trade or just for investment purposes. Yeah, looking into the chart, back to the chart here. Um, I can see I can see another failed fair value gap here. I just needed to see those relative equal highs being purged. It's kind of purged in a on SMT on NQ, I mean. So this could eventually be some sort of short to equilibrium. So this is the short play here after 11. But yeah, it's not that enticing because we have price in between these opens and things can get a little bit tricky when price is inside in between 9:30 open and 8:30 open. Another bearish fair value gap here. So far being respected. So the only thing that's really preventing me from shorting this, and at this point I would be in profit already, is this clean top here and the fact that we are above 9:30 open, which can eventually act as a support on price. At this point, I would have to be at break even already. yeah, so far respecting. So this could be something that I'm missing here, but it's okay. Yeah, nice follow through here. Kind of missed this opportunity. And we are back inside the first presented fair value gap here. So if you want to continue higher, this should be where price will stop. It's near the equilibrium as well. Yeah, but this would be a clean run here. Price is starting here to react. So on NQ, we already inverted this fair value gap. So this rundown was an opportunity. The model didn't present itself like I would like to, but it was here. And yeah, I said that price would eventually invert here, and it's doing its job. Some displacement. So this would be some sort of a low-hanging fruit trade. displacement. I believe it will go to the upside now. Not been easy to trade these last couple of days, but this was a setup, and I believe it's forming another setup here. So the 950 macro can eventually mark the retrace and the inversion here to, oops. This was just a retrace, and this is the continuation here. I will not take it at this point. I'm satisfying how I read the market today, so I'm not taking this one. But this is the model, inversion, breaker, fair value gap, displacement. So everything is in place right now. Price came to equilibrium, first presented fair value gap, so it should deliver at least until -4 standard deviation. But the only thing that I don't like, it's that price is in between the 9:30 open and 8:30 open. So it can make something like this. But the model it's actually here. So I believe we will follow through to the upside. I want to see this being inverted. And then I want to see this being reclaimed. So this I want to be reclaimed. But as you can see, price is taking a little bit of time here just to go through those opens. Just let me project price here. Implied fib. Yeah, 1.5 standard deviation has some confluence with the -15 minute fair value gap, and this as well to target London highs. Yeah, this one I will not take, honestly. It's already 11:15. We are 2 hours already inside the stream or on the stream, so it would stretch my trading session for probably about 1 hour more, and yeah, it's way too long. If you are an experienced trader, you will notice that everything that's taking more than 2 hours, of course it depends from individual to individual, but if you're staring at these charts for more than 2 to 3 hours, yeah, you're going to start to see things that your mind is imagining only. Uh, Things are not happening, and you're just seeing things and imagining things and praying for the charts to move into some draw of liquidity. So at this point, NQ is already here on the upside. Well, I'm glad I did not take this short, because this short, yeah, I could have eventually took some partials here, but it wouldn't last long. And as you can see, ES is mumbling around. No action, no follow through. We still need to close above this red candle here just to form an order block to support this move to the upside. There we go. So at this point we have the order block, but I need to see it close above. Yeah, so far no follow through here on ES. I guess NQ was way faster than ES. See, this is why I don't like to trade when price is below or above or next to the open, because the 9:30 open and 8:30 open can really act as a support or resistance, and yeah, it can slow down your trading pace. It can slow things down, and it can eventually make price getting stuck inside this range for quite a while, and that's why I prefer to stay away from it. But yeah, I guess we'll wrap this stream session, and yeah, I guess it wasn't a fine read of price, honestly. I guess I was not that wrong. It was a nice read. Initially I was expecting a move to the daily fair value gap here, and it happened one-sided quite fast. No opportunity to engage with price. Then as soon as we hit here, I was expecting something more just like this, and I was afraid that price could eventually mark some sort of accumulation during New York AM. But then the 915 macro just gave us that impulse higher, and we somehow cleaned these pre-market highs that I was mentioning somewhere when price was down here. But then yeah, we had no model. I guess the only model that we have is right now happening, and I don't think and I'm not sure if it will hold, honestly. Um, Price just made a one-sided move. Um, it left this low behind, and yeah, since 10:15, we are just somehow ranging. I noticed this short move here, but since it was kind of a short move, was not not the best uh, in terms of distance, because yeah, equilibrium was right away right here, and it could offer us to a 1 to 2 risk to reward, but I like to project things to a higher risk to reward, just to be able to take out some partials. And yeah, the only thing that is reasonably clean is this setup that it's forming right here. But since price is in between 9:30 and 8:30, I won't touch this setup because it can take a long time before it makes something. So despite not taking any trades today, I think it was a nice session. At least we didn't lose any money, which is great. So yeah, I hope you, if you took some trades, I hope you guys did well and ended the session on green. But for me, this wasn't the day, and I came into New York AM with low expectations since we kind of expanded on London, and whenever we expand in London, I try to move my expectations to something real low because London is not supposed to expand. Expansion should happen on New York AM, not on London. But yeah, guys, I guess that's it. I will wrap this trading session for today. And yeah, I hope to see you tomorrow. For those who stayed here, thank you very much. Loures, forte abraço. Espero que esteja tudo a correr bem também. Não sei se entraste em alguma coisa ou não, mas ontem também já tinhas tido um bom dia, portanto há que ser paciente, né? Olha, um forte abraço para ti também e, e vemos amanhã. Okay? Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for being there and hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you.